Hello and welcome to the show. This is Andy's Shed Live Series 16, episode number 1 for Sunday the 28th of July 2024. Hello everybody, how are you? And welcome to the show. It is almost August. Summer is going through, and if you can hear a ticking in the background, it's that up there. Probably go bong in a minute, but yeah, hello, welcome to the show. However you're watching us, whether you are on the Andy's Emporium page on Facebook, whether you are on Andy's Shed Live, whether you are on YouTube, or whether you are on the brilliant Odyssey, which is changing, but it's going to stick around, because we were wondering if Odyssey was going to survive or not. The answer is yes, it is going to survive. But it is going to be different as well in the future. But we are sticking with it for now. So a special hello to all our Odyssey users out there. Now I can't see the chat very well. Hang on a sec. I need to find a way. Doing that, that's it. Right. Who have we got with us? We've got Wesley with us, we've got Christopher 2000 with us. Yes, I have got the emails, Christopher. We've got Dominic with us as well at the moment. So I'm sure there's more people joining us. If you want to join us, you can join us in the chat on any of those platforms that I've just mentioned, except for the Odyssey one. If you join in the Odyssey chat, your chat won't appear on the screen here. It's because Odyssey have done weird things with their chat just recently and put adverts into the chat, so we can't include the Odyssey chat on here. But you'll see what platform people are chatting on. That you see that everybody on there at the minute is on the YouTube platform. But you can theoretically do it via Facebook on the Andy's Emporium page on Facebook if you're a member of that. You can theoretically chat through there as well. If there are any other platforms that you would like us to stream on as well, please do get in touch and let us know. We are going to make the chat a bit easier. We are going to alter the chat at some point to try and make it a bit easier for everybody to use, but it's some way away as yet, is that. Yeah, so what's been happening while we've been away? Well, I've been busy. If you care to take a look on eBay at the minute and type in 009 railway coach, you will find these for sale on eBay. These semi-open coaches. I've shown you these before, but I don't think I've shown you a painted one before. These are for sale on eBay, complete with wheels. This one's not got any wheels on, but they are for sale on eBay, complete with wheels at the moment. So just look for them. Just look for the coaches, and very soon they're going to be complete with couplings as well. Here's a prototype one with couplings on. 009 is the scale, so 4mm scale running on 9mm or N-gauge track. I know this is a rather lurid purple colour. It's just whatever filament I happen to have to print it in, but this was a test print of one that I did the other day, and they are selling like hotcakes on eBay at the minute. Those, in fact, I'm having trouble keeping up with printing them. So yeah, they are back on eBay again, which is strange because when I put them on Etsy some time ago, it didn't sell a what on Etsy, but I sold quite a few on eBay and that. So thanks to everybody who has bought those. There are going to be some other models coming up as well, including the tanker, the little tanker. Here's one that I've started painting up. this one. But yeah, the little, again, it's 009, a little tank car. So that is also going to be on sale on eBay soon. It's not on yet, that one, but it's going to be on there soon. And I've got a flat-ended version. This is the version that's actually going to go on eBay. Very slightly different. And again, with the couplings. You see it, so you can couple it up. Can you see that? The tank's not attached to this one yet. Because I've not attached the tank, so I have to paint it before I actually fit the tank permanently onto it. So yeah, we've got those as well. And if that wasn't enough, we've also got goods vans. You see that? Goods van. So yeah, got them as well. Get on the Andy's Emporium webpage if you want to know more about that. Just looking if we've got it anyway. Yeah, there it is. That's the Andy's Emporium webpage. andysemporium.coldpress.net. Get on there and click the visit our online shop that you see at the bottom of that page there, and it will take you to the online shop, surprisingly. Right, what are folks up to in the old chat? Wesley says, what do I need to search for, Andy? Can't seem to find them on eBay. There's only the open coach on at the moment, Wesley, and if you go on eBay, make sure you're on ebay.co.uk for a start. Type in something like 009 semi-open coach, and I think you will find it if you do that. Shall we have a go? Shall we see if we can? Shall we see if we can do it ourselves? Bear with me a minute, and we'll see if we can do it. Yeah, right, okay. So there is a web page. So if I go on to, hang on, let's not crop the top pixels of that web page. What's happening there? I'm not sure quite why it's come out like that, but it has. Right, hang on. Right, so we'll go on there, and we'll go on to ebay.co.uk. So there you can. Oh, that's better. There you can see eBay there. Just let me see if I can bring that up a bit. Let's make that a bit more sensible, if we can. Right. Okay, so there's your eBay site, and if you just type in 009 semi-open coach, I think it'll come up. Yeah, there it is. Top of the list, look. There it is. And there's the listing for it. People always say to me item numbers, and I never know where an item number is on eBay. They'll say, what's the item number? And according to the thing at the top, the item number is 1764 622 08 041. So the item number is 1764 622 08 041. I believe that's your item number. Cool. So there you go. There it is. That's it up there on eBay. Hang on, now I've got to shut some windows now, otherwise my computer's going to go crazy. So yeah, that's what we've been doing with all that. Dominic's joined us, and has Keith. Hello everybody. Keith says, hi Andy, hi everyone. Well, it's been a while since I've been on this channel. I found Odyssey a bit hard to get logged onto. I prefer YouTube despite all its downsides. I hate YouTube. I absolutely hate it. I really do. Yeah, the trouble is YouTube hasn't really got a serious competitor. Odyssey is the best competitor to YouTube, but it's not massively straightforward all the time. Yeah, it's YouTube's just awful. The way YouTube treats its users, the way YouTube treats its content creators, is just awful. I absolutely hate Google. I am de-Googling my life. I have never had an Apple product in my life. It's 10 years or more since I've used a Microsoft product, and now I am gradually getting rid of Google in my life, and so hence YouTube as well. I'm getting rid of all these big company things and that, because they're all a bit rubbish. Dominic says, how's the dog Keith? How's the dog Keith? Keith says, I'm afraid he's getting quite old. I take him out in a pram these days, and he potters about a bit. Excellent. A lot of people take their dogs out in prams, actually. That's quite common. In fact, you can get special prams for dogs, specially designed dog prams, and that. So yeah, it's not as weird as you think. That it is quite common. Christopher has been rescuing telephones, he says, pulling handsets out of abandoned H-set carriages. Keith says, I absolutely love Apple products. Can't get enough of them. They're great. I love Silicon Valley. Yeah, no, don't have anything Apple. No. Why would you buy a product that won't connect to anybody else's product? And that locks you into only their stuff? And why would you buy a phone you can't take the battery out of? It's just absolutely bonkers. Keith says, I have an old Silver Cross pram for Victor. Yeah, they're the best ones, aren't they? Yeah. Yeah, Dominic says, hope as well staffies tend to get arthritis. Do they? I walk quite a few staffies in my day job. I think they're one of the most popular breeds of dog, I think, staffies, and I do walk quite a few of them. And I haven't really noticed any of them with arthritis, but a lot of them are on that U-Move stuff that you see advertised on the telly, and it's really good, that U-Move, actually. I used to have a Staffy Cross, at least we think she was a Staffy Cross, and she was on U-Move, and it really did make a massive difference to her. So if you have got a dog that's getting a bit stiff and that, get that U-Move stuff. It really, really does work. I can't recommend it enough. Dominic says, I might need to replace my Titan Slim as the headphone adapter has stopped working and the keys are going. Oh. Are you sure that's not a software issue, Dominic? That sounds like that could be a software issue. Have you tried turning it off and on again? That's the classic thing that people say. But sometimes mine does funny things. Mine's not a Titan Slim. Mine's an ordinary Titan, my phone, in a rather grotty case these days. But there you have it, you see. It's an ordinary Titan. These were actually a Kickstarter project originally, the Unihertz Titan. It was a Kickstarter project, this original phone. And it's really, really good. The only thing that's not very good on it is the camera. The camera's a bit average, shall we say. But other than that, it's a really, really good phone. I really like it. The battery life on it is fantastic. But every now and again, it does, occasionally, very occasionally, it's not that very often, but very occasionally, it does freeze and do something weird, and I just turn it off and on again. And that generally sorts it out. But yeah, Unihertz Titan, it's a brick of a phone, but it's really, really good. Can't recommend it enough. Again, open source, Kickstarter, all that sort of stuff. Dominic says, how's Thor, Andy? Thor is fine, thank you, Dominic. We thought he was a bit poorly yesterday. He was a bit off his food yesterday, but he's bounced back today, quite literally. So yeah, he's totally fine. He's in the other room. He's just had his tea. Yes, 2 postmen and an Amazon delivery bloke. So he's well fed now, and he's settling down for the evening. Dominic says, my little belt holster broke too. I wasn't aware you got a belt holster. Did that come with the phone then, Dominic? I didn't get anything with my phone. I even had to buy the case separately. I just got the phone, but I did get it off the internet. You know, from an online seller. I think Keith's probably just seen the thing about about dog having 2 postmen and Amazon delivery bloke. Yeah, I've got down a bit of a rabbit hole as well this week. Talking of deliveries, I've gone down a bit of a rabbit hole this week. Last weekend, while I was away at Fiskerton, a friend of mine, Pete, he said, what do you know about these robot delivery things? These little robots that deliver your shopping. And I said, well, I think they were trialled in Leeds or somewhere. He said they're still around. He says, because I was watching something on the news. He says, and there was somebody sort of doing a piece to camera in the street, you know, like they do on the news, and one of these robots passed behind them and delivering somebody's shopping. He says, are they still around? And they are actually operated by a company that makes them called Starship. And apparently they are still around. They're around in Milton Keynes, they're around in Cambridge, and I think there's some around somewhere near Manchester, sort of Stockport area of Manchester, I believe. But has anybody had their shopping delivered or even seen a Starship delivery robot actually in the flesh? Because I've not actually seen one in person. I could do going to Milton Keynes just to go and see if I can find one. Yeah, that'd make an interesting escape the shed, wouldn't it? Go to Milton Keynes and find a Starship delivery robot. Dominic says, I've seen them in Cambridge. Cool. Brilliant. Fat Hobbit says, how did the Sheffield Steam show go? Evening, Fat Hobbit. Yeah, it went very well, thanks. Yeah, it went as it always does. To be honest, I don't see much of it because we're on a stand there, what was just effectively like a market stall display type thing. We don't get much of a chance to go and look round it when there's people there. We only sort of really get to go and look round either early in the morning or sort of in the evening when people have gone home. So we don't get to see much of the actual action happening during the day in the arena and stuff. But yeah, it was very good. It was very good, and I assume we'll be back next year. We usually are. So yeah, come and see us next year. Last full weekend in June is when they have it every year. Every year it's the last full weekend in June. So the last Saturday and Sunday in June. Farby says, yes, those Starship delivery robots are available in Cambridge. They wait at traffic lights, which is quite bizarre. It says they deliver for Co-op in Cambridge, but I haven't used it. Are you in range, Fat Hobbit? Are you in range of using it? Could you use it? Yeah. You got to use it, make a video. I want somebody to use it. I wish we were in your age. I would use it. That is the kind of thing I would use. I'm all for technology in shops. I get so annoyed with particularly checkout people in shops that are just slow and useless, and I just think there's got to be a better way to do it. And I'm looking forward to the day when we do away with checkouts in shops. I'm looking forward to the day where every item that you put in your trolley or in your bag has an RFID tag on it. So you just put it all in your shopping bag, then you walk out the shop, GPS on your phone knows you've walked out the shop. As you've walked out, a thing on the door of the shop has read all the RFID tags that are in your shopping bag, knows what you've got, and just bing, and just charges your debit card for the items that are in your bag. So you just walk straight out the shop without going through any kind of a checkout. It already works in Japan. I believe the system's in use in Japan, and it would be brilliant to do it here. So I'm all in favour. Fat Hobbit says, yes, I'm in range of the Co-op Starship delivery robots, but it's quite expensive. Yeah, it's expensive because it's Co-op. That's why it's expensive. I'm told they had £1 on for the delivery. They just had £1 on for the delivery, so they tell me. And it's Starship Independent, I believe, who do it. So there's a Starship employee who goes around that Co-op shop, picking the goods off the shelf, then putting it in the little robot and sending it on its way, I believe. Falbit says, I find it really annoying when I'm trying to buy paracetamol and they have to verify that I'm over 25. Can't you buy paracetamol if you're under 25 then? What? So can't an 18-year-old or a 19-year-old buy a paracetamol? That's bonkers. That's bonkers. Why couldn't you buy a paracetamol at 18? That seems a bit weird. Yeah. Dominic says, I'm old-fashioned and prefer to deal with a person than a machine. Yeah, well, I prefer to deal with machines, you see, because machines can't give you COVID for a start. Well, they can if somebody sneezed on it and you touch it, but they're less likely to give you COVID than a person is. And also, a machine is much more efficient than a person, and a machine doesn't spend half an hour chatting to its friend on the next checkout while you're stood in the queue, does it? Unlike a human. That's why I always go to the self-service checkouts in shops. I always go to the self-service checkouts. Fat Hobbit says, in Japan the 7-Elevens are absolutely fantastic. There is always a human being to help you buy your purchases, and you can buy takeaway meals which you can eat in the store. Right. So you buy like your bird's eye frozen lasagna, and there's a microwave in the shop you put it in. Is that how it works? See, Japan is land of the vending machine, isn't it? Japan. I expect everything to be in vending machines in Japan. Christopher says, the handset I sent a photo of in the email, I don't know if they were used on Western electric phones. I don't either at the minute, Christopher, because I can't get to my emails at the minute. We'll find out. But yeah, he's with us. Hi, yeah, he says 2 packs only for paracetamol. So you can buy 2 packs, can you? At one time. That's so you don't overdose. So that's yeah. Now we've got a new government. It makes everybody want to take an overdose, doesn't it? Yes. Yes, we've had an election. You may have noticed since we were last here. We've had an election. That's why we had to come back and do this to try and earn some money. Keir Starmer to take off me and give to the boat people. Fat Hobbit says there are literally a bank of microwaves in the 7-Eleven shop. That's a good idea, isn't it? Buy a microwave meal in a shop and have the microwave there. You bung it in the microwave. Yeah, that's a good idea. That saves you overpriced takeaways on a Saturday night, doesn't it? Yeah. Dominic says, I agree, Fat Hobbit. I went up there a few years ago and they had some delicious hot bento boxes you could buy, as well as a really nice milk bubble tea. Milk bubble tea. Is that like ordinary tea with washing up liquid in it? Make it frothy. Put some fairy liquid in it. Sorry, I'm just reading the chat. It's fascinating what you get. Where this conversation goes in the chat is just absolutely bonkers these days. Yeah, but yeah, I think the checkout the shop is coming, and when it comes, I will use it. Keith says, I'd love to go to Japan. I think they've got the balance between innovation and tradition just right. Yeah, it's a strange place, Japan, because there are some bits of it that haven't changed in like 1,000 years, and then another bit of it that is like super high tech, and then somewhere in the middle there's a place that's like the set of Blade Runner. So yeah, it is an interesting place. Yes, it's one of the places in the world I wouldn't mind visiting. My problem with Japan is the language. Not only do they speak a different language, it's completely unintelligible when it's written down as well. What is happening with the radio station, says Keith? Not a lot, Keith. Not a lot. It's basically there, it's test broadcast, it works, just haven't got the people to run it. Just can't generate any interest from anybody locally in helping to run it at all. There's absolutely zero interest, and I think it's because of where it is. Because Mansfield as a town, and Dominic will attest to this because he's been to Mansfield, is a dump, basically. If you remember Harry Enfield, when he used to do the characters with Kathy Burke of Wayne and Waynetta Slob, right? Wayne and Waynetta Slob would live in Mansfield. Yeah, that's what it's like. Mansfield is the place where the fleas on the rats demand a better housing. And there is absolutely no community spirit to Mansfield at all. You know, it is sort of sit at home in your pyjamas and watch daytime TV all the day, and only go outside when you've got to go and sign on, basically. Yeah, basically all the people who voted for Keir Starmer. Yeah, so yeah. Oh, there's going to be some political bashing going on. It's marvellous, isn't it? All the people that voted Labour, and you can't find one of them now. Ask anybody now, did you vote Labour? And they'll go, no, it wasn't me, I didn't do it. I think some of them are lying. Although only 34% of the country did actually vote Labour. Just remember that. 34%. Neville is here. He says, will you have Belinda Carlisle on the radio station, as I'm her greatest fan? Is this a wind-up? Right. Neville's new here. Maybe Neville doesn't know. You're not Belinda's greatest fan, Neville, because I am. I've got a photo somewhere. I don't know where it is. I don't think it's on this computer. That's a shame. But yes. Yes, we play Belinda Carlisle on the radio station. I've met her many times, many times, but she hates being interviewed. She absolutely hates being interviewed. Yeah, she's one of those people who absolutely hates giving interviews. You know, she does what she does, but hates all the trappings that go with it, sort of thing. So I never really pester her for an interview. I've interviewed lots of people around her over times, but yeah, she absolutely hates giving interviews. It's very rare you will see an interview with Belinda, because she just doesn't like doing it. So I think if she doesn't like doing it, why make her? You know, why force her to do it if she don't want to do it? So I don't. But yeah, I have met her many a time, including in the checkout in the shop. So that kind of links together there. Yeah, only I could go through it, and in a chip shop as well, but that's another story. But yeah. Chris, Andy, do you see my call for a payphone in Australia? No, I don't think I did, Christopher. No, maybe it didn't get through that. Keith says, I love Wayne and Waynetta Slob, but difficult to live with, I appreciate. Yeah, it was very well observed, Wayne and Waynetta Slob. Very, very well observed. Because I don't know anybody else, but certainly for me, when I saw Wayne and Waynetta Slob, I thought, I know those people. When I saw those characters appear, I thought, I know those people, and I know multiple versions of those people, and I know where they live, and it's Mansfield. And if it's not Mansfield, it's Shirebrook. Keith said, why would Linda Carlisle bother with interviews if the media distort everything? You should interview her at Andy's shed. Yeah, there's one problem with interviewing Linda Carlisle. I can't speak to her. This has been a thing that's been a thing for 20 years or more now. When did I first run into her? Must be about 20 years ago when I first ran into her. And the thing is, I've met loads of famous people over the years. Loads of famous people. From when I used to go down to S16E Studios and do Big Brother and stuff, and they used to have guests on Big Brother's Big Mouth, you know. There were loads of people on. There were people on like there were people on like Yuri Geller was one I remember being on. Limbit Opie, politician who went out with a cheeky girl, he was on. I think the cheeky girls themselves were on. Jade Goody, of course, Big Brother made famous, she was on. Of course, there was Davina there, and Dermot O'Leary. Russell Brand, of course, was there because he was fronting the show that I was on. And Ollie Willoughby had been knocking about, and Phil Schofield, because they were doing Dancing on Ice on the studio next door. And there were all these famous people around, and you just talk to them. There is a famous story from S16E Studios. So I went wandering off one day. I kind of got away from the people who were supposed to be chaperones around the studio. And now I was in a corridor speaking to this bloke, and this girl came looking for me, this girl that was sort of herding us towards the Big Brother studio, and she went absolutely white, this girl. And she went, Andy, come here, come. So I said to this chap I was talking to, I said, so sorry, I've got to go. And she said do you know who that was? And it turned out it was some film star or something that was having a bit of an affair at the time with Keira Knightley. Yeah, on the set of The Holiday. If you ever see The Holiday on TV, it was him. What's his name? What's his name? The guy in The Holiday. Come on, The Holiday. It's got yeah, The Holiday. What's his name? Can't remember the guy's name. He's a really famous British star. And he was having a bit of an affair with Keira Knightley or something at the time. And I didn't realise it was him. And I was just chatting to him in the corridor. I was actually looking for the gents. And I said, can you tell me where the gents are? I went, oh yeah, it's just down there. But you can, you meet all these famous people, and I just talked to them. I had a really good conversation with Yuri Geller. I really liked Yuri Geller. I was chatting to Yuri Geller for about half an hour. Really, really interesting guy, Yuri Geller. And I did say to him, I said, Jude Law, thank you Wesley, that's the guy, Jude Law. Yeah, Yuri Geller, he rocked up one day in a car, being driven by somebody. I think he was actually in a private hire taxi sort of thing. I don't think he got a driver. And he rocked up because he was going to be a guest on Big Brother's Big Mouth that I was on. And he rocked up at the security gates at Elstree, and we're all stood there waiting to go in, because you get a big crowd round and then somebody comes and escorts you to a green room sort of thing. And we're all waiting to go in. He rocks up in his car, and we're all stood at the security gate there. And there used to be a guy called Diesel on the security gate. I kid you not, a security guard called Diesel. I'm not even kidding. And he rocked up Yuri Geller in his car, and he's reading the paper. He said, I'm brushing up on the news and that, in case they ask me anything topical. I said, they won't ask you anything topical about the news. He says, well, there's a bit about Big Brother in the paper. He says, I'm a bit nervous, I've never been on before. I said, oh, you'll be alright. I said, we've been on loads. So, just follow us, Yuri. And I had a long conversation with him, and it turned to the spoon bending thing and that. And I ended up saying to him, if what you do is a trick, it's a really good trick. If what you do is actually some magical power, it's a really good magical power. Either way, it's really good, and nobody else does it. And to this day, I don't know if Yuri Geller really can bend spoons with the power of his mind or not. I don't know. But I do know I couldn't have sugar in my tea that night because somebody had nicked all the spoons out of the Elstree Studios canteen. So I had to go up to Yuri Geller to get him to bend them. So thanks, Yuri. I had to drink tea without sugar in that night, thanks to you. But yeah, Jude Law was the guy in the corridor, and he was filming The Holiday, because that was made at Elstree Studios, where they used to do Big Brother and all that. Even though when you see The Holiday and you think, oh, a lot of it, that's in America, and then it's in this really nice country cottage thing in the middle of nowhere in the snow. Not really, it's not. It was Elstree Studios. Was where a lot of the interiors were done for it. And whenever I see The Holiday, and it comes around quite regular on ITV2, whenever I see The Holiday, I always think about looking for the gents, Jude Law, in about 2007, 2008, when that was in production. But yeah, it's a brilliant place, Elstree Studios. If ever you get a chance to go to Elstree, do go. You can't go on a visit. It's not open to the public in any way, shape or form. It's not open to the public, Elstree. But if you get to go by going as an audience on a show or going to participate in a show, if you do get a chance to go to Elstree, have as much of a poke round as you possibly can, because it's really historic. They ought to do tours. They ought to do a tour around Elstree. It's only small. You know, it's not anything like Universal in America. It's only small. You can walk around it in half an hour. But the history that's there is fantastic. First scene from Star Wars, there. First scene ever from Indiana Jones, there. You know where Indiana Jones comes crashing down on top of that statue, he rides that statue down to the ground. It's there. The Overlook Hotel from The Shining. You know, here's Johnny, through the door. It's there. Big Brother, it's there. The very first Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, the first £1 million to be won on British television, was there. On the buses, was there. Yeah, Return of the Jedi. Princess Leia, whose costume sold. You know when Princess Leia is chained up by Jabba the Hutt in Return of the Jedi? It is Return of the Jedi, isn't it? It is that one. Yeah, that costume was sold for God knows how many $100,000 a couple of days ago. I'm amazed. And apparently it's made of metal. I always thought it was leather, but there you go. But yeah, that scene where she was chained up with Jabba the Hutt is there. Not going out. The first series of not going out in the new house after they got married was there, actually in the same room as Jabba the Hutt's palace. Did you know that their front room in Not Going Out is the same room as Jabba the Hutt's palace in Return of the Jedi? It is, honestly. And it's also the same room as where Jack Nicholson comes up the stairs into the private apartments in The Shining. It's the same studio. Because it had an underground car park underneath it with steps down into an underground car park, so it had a sunken bit in the middle of the stage floor, and out into the underground car park, and that's where the steps are that he walks up into his apartment in The Shining. Neville says The Shining is one of my favourite films, and you should host Big Brother. They wanted me to do Big Brother, Neville. I used to go quite regularly and do what at the time was called Big Brother's Big Mouth. First it was called Big Brother's E4, and then they changed the name to Big Brother's Big Mouth. But it was on E4, and for about a year and a half, I used to go down and do an episode a week when it was on air. And I used to go down there, and I went for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And there was a blonde girl that worked on the show, and I'm never quite sure what she did. I think she was one of the producers, because it had a number of producers, because it was that doing shifts of Big Brother, because it was on. There had to be a crew there all the time. At that time, it really was a 24-hour-a-day production. And there was this girl there, and she took me aside towards the end of the season, when I'd been turning up for umpteen weeks, for about 16 weeks. She took me aside one day, and she said, "Can I have a word with you?" She said, "Yeah." She said, "You've been coming here for weeks, haven't you?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "We did a VT with you, didn't we? We came out and did a VT. If you search Andy's Bus on YouTube, you'll find the VT that they did for Big Brother's Big Mouth." And I said, "Yeah, we've done a VT for the show and that." Well, they came out and interviewed me. She said, "Have you ever thought of applying to go in the house?" I said, "Well, no, not really." I said, "Really, I haven't got the time to do it, and I don't think you'd select me anyway to do it. I think I know too much about it. You know, I don't think you want anybody who kind of knows the inside track on how it works." And she just looked at me and she went, "Do me a favour," she said, "apply." And I just said, "What for?" She said, "Just apply," she said. And I have a feeling if I'd applied that year, I would have got in. So, I've never. It was a really, really strange conversation. I don't know her name, I don't know who she was, but she used to be there all the time, and I've never seen her since. Unlike some of the other people who have popped up on other things, because they're all freelancers. But I've never seen her again. And she just took me aside. She never spoke to me before that night. I've seen her every week, and she maybe said hello if I'd walked past her in a corridor or something. But she never really spoke to me before that night. But that night she just took to one side. She went, "Apply." She went, apply. Yes, apply. But yeah, Neville says The Shining is on tonight on the BBC. Is he? Brilliant. That is fantastic. I could tell you lots of stories about The Shining. I've met a lot of the people who worked on The Shining, and it was a very, very tough film to make. A very tough film to make. Mainly because of Stanley Kubrick. Now Stanley Kubrick, depending on who you speak to, was either a very nice guy or a complete bastard. And it depends very much on who you speak to. Speak to the late Shelley Duvall, who was in The Shining. He was a bastard. She had him in tears for hours and hours. Oh, he had her in tears for hours and hours and hours on end on the set of The Shining. And she nearly had a nervous breakdown for real. Because she had to do so much crying and that on it. But then all the crew, you know, the lighting riggers and the camera operators and the sound guys and that, all said Stanley was great. You know, fantastic. The special effects people that did 2001, they said it was brilliant. It was great. He just wanted something doing. We did it. He'd say, yeah, that's okay, lads. Get on with it. Or, no, can you just alter that? And we just alter it. And he said, no problem. And Neville says, Shelley Duvall died on the 11th of the 7th. Yeah, she did, yeah. Can't really believe it. You see, The Shining's a long time ago now, isn't it? And they still find snow at Elstree. They still find snow from The Shining. Because I believe some of the snow on The Shining was asbestos before anybody knew. And they still find some of it because the Overlook Hotel was basically, it was a facade. There was a real hotel somewhere in either North America or Canada or somewhere out there. There was a real hotel. But Stanley Kubrick famously didn't fly. He would not fly. He just would not fly. And so they built a full-size replica frontage of the Overlook Hotel at Elstree. I've got a picture of it somewhere from the back, and you can see it's just all scaffolding and just a flat front. Of course there's snow. At the end of The Shining, there's snow. And so they had to get all this snow in Elstree Studios, and it was, I think it was summer, and they were on a time crunch because George Lucas was wanting to get on with the next Star Wars film. Either Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi. I can't remember which one. I think it was Empire Strikes Back. He was wanting to get on doing Empire Strikes Back, and all the stages at Elstree were taken with The Shining, because the Overlook Hotel, they built a frontage outside, very near to where the Big Brother house ended up actually, but not quite in the same place. They built a big frontage outside, but inside they got all these sound stages, and they joined them all up. They built a set that joined all these sound stages up, and then had little corridors between where they put like false walls in and false doors, like hotel room doors. So you could walk right around this hotel through all these different sound stages at Elstree. It was on about 7 or 8 sound stages, and you could. And in the movie, the little kid in the movie gets in this little pedal car. You'll see it if you watch it tonight on BBC. And he gets in his pedal car, and there's a tracking shot with a Steadicam. It was the only Steadicam in the world at the time, and there was one guy who operated it, and he's following the kid around on this thing, and he goes for miles on this blooming pedal car through this hotel, and it's because he's going through all the different sound stages. Well, it made Elstree Film and Television, or EMI Studios as it was at that time, be booked solid. You know, there weren't any space, and And George Lucas is there wanting to do his next Star Wars film, and can't get on with it. And they're still filming The Shining. And there was one particular stage that Lucas wanted, one of the big stages, and and they built the gold room from The Shining. Now, if you watch The Shining tonight, it's very fortuitous that it's on tonight on the BBC. Actually, go watch it. It's a really good movie. If you watch that gold room, it's a massive room and it's all gold. Everything on the walls is gold. It's got like gold tiles on the walls. And I met the man who did it. They called him the Gold Man. If you ever wanted anything gold in a movie, he made it, and he could make it look like real gold by doing all kinds of things with electroplating and gold coloured paint and all kinds of things. And he got all these plastic vacuum formed tiles that were about yay big, these tiles, and he had to make them all gold and then stuck them all over this set. It was a massive set. It was like an aircraft hangar, the gold room and The Shining, and they'd done about a day's filming in it, and bloody thing burnt down. The soundstage burnt down. There was some sort of electrical fault or something. Soundstage burnt down. And throughout all this, George Lucas had been pestering to try and get Stanley Kubrick out of Elstree, basically, because it overrun, because Kubrick always overran. If it was supposed to be filming for 3 months, you could guarantee it to be 9 months. Lucas had been ringing Kubrick sort of almost daily. Stanley, I need your movie out of those studios. It's booked for me now to do Empire. And Stanley says it'll be finished when it's finished. Anyway, this particular day, this bit of the studios, one particular soundstage, in fact I think a couple of the sound stages went up, it burnt down, this big soundstage. And the first thing that Stanley Kubrick did was get on the phone to George Lucas and say, "We've wrapped, George, you can have it now." And George came over to Elstree and found the soundstage without a roof on it. but that's the sort of black humour of Stanley Kubrick. But yeah, watch The Shining tonight. It's on. I watch it with different eyes to everybody else, because I'll tell you another interesting connection. If you ever see a sci-fi film called Passengers, which is set on a ship going to Mars or somewhere, watch that after you've watched The Shining. Watch Passengers after you've watched The Shining, because if you watch The Shining then watch Passengers, there are Easter eggs in Passengers about The Shining. Dominic says, did he do anything for Goldfinger the Gold Man? Not that I know of, Dominic, because James Bond is done at Pinewood Studios, which is across to the other side of London. James Bond's always been, as long as I can remember, been done at Pinewood, not Elstree. So they don't have anything to do with James Bond, except for some of the costumes, I believe, because I did once meet a woman sat outside on a beautiful summer's afternoon sewing a sailor's hat, and she said that was for James Bond. But Elstree's weird, because the studios at Elstree, how it actually works, it's kind of like a business park where there's all little businesses relating to the film industry who all kind of rent a space there. So there'll be somebody who supplies cameras There'll be a little company that supplies cameras that rents a space there. There'll be somebody else that does props that rents a space there. There'll be somebody else who does lighting that rents a space there. And there's all these little sort of independent companies that rent bits of the site. And then when somebody comes to make a movie there, they get all these independent people to all come together, or they get somebody from outside if they're cheaper perhaps, or the people on site aren't available because they're doing something else, and they all come together and work as one. There's a carpenter there who just makes stage flats and things, walls and stuff to make sets out of, and stuff. But yeah, it's all individual people. But the Gold Man, I don't know that he did anything. I know what he did do. He did the Staff of Ra for one of the Indiana Jones movies. When they have the gold thing that goes on the end of the staff and they stick it in the floor and the sun shines through it and points to a map on the floor, sort of thing. He made that, and when I met him, he'd got that in his pocket, wrapped up in a carrier bag, and I was sat actually in the school canteen. I wasn't even at L3 Studios for this, but that's a long story. But he just unwrapped this thing and said, "Yeah, look at this. I made this." And I thought, I recognised that from somewhere. I said to him, "What's that? I recognise that from somewhere." He says, "It's the thing out of one of the Indiana Jones films that he puts in the floor." He says, "I made that gold." He says, "It's not gold actually. It's just like metal and plastic and stuff." He says, "It's not gold." He says, I just plated it to make it look gold." And I said, "That must be worth a fortune." I said, "How did you get that?" He said, "People in the film industry are very absent-minded," he said. He said, "and I knew when I made this, they'd lose one." He said, "So I made 3. And this is the last one." so that unique thing that you see Indiana Jones fighting all the bloody film to put on the end of that staff, that unique thing, it's not that unique, there's 3 of them. Christopher says, right, we'll change the subject slightly, shall we? Christopher says, "Andy, have you got any new telephones?" I have, Christopher. I've got too many new telephones, to be honest with you. I can't hardly move in here for them. Where would you like me to start? I'll start with the newest that's arrived. I don't know if I've got 6 or 8 of these. Ta-da! You think it's a pendant phone, don't you? It's not. It's not. I was hoping it was going to be a pendant phone. It's not. It's a door answer phone. And it's not like a pendant phone in that there's not much of anything in it. But then there's not much of anything in a pendant phone either, is there? So I wonder if I could turn this into a pendant phone. Interesting thought. Watch your space on that one. But I've got about 6 or 8 of these. They turned up the other day. Plastic, really, really weird. Made by Entryphone of London. These are. And I thought they were Bakelite at first, but I don't think they are. I think they are just plastic, but it's interesting because they've not yellowed or anything. But it must be a decent sort of plastic that they've used for making these. But yeah, so I've got some of those. The telephone that was in bits. That we were going to turn into an upside down red 746. That's still here. Still waiting for me to find the bit that goes on here so I can fit that like that. I've got a load of these somewhere. I've got about half a dozen of these plates somewhere. Can I find them when I want them? Can I heckers like? But yeah, so that is still here. Also arrived recently. I think this one was thanks to one of my parcels. From, I think one of my Arthur parcels. I think this came in. Keith says, I wish I had your insight into these films from Elstree. Yeah, it's not really insight, Keith, it's just stuff you pick up, stuff you remember. Yeah, it's the people you meet. It's the people you meet walking down the street at Elstree, because it's really weird. Well, it's not Elstree actually, it's Boreham Wood. If you walk down the street at Elstree, you won't meet anybody, because it's a little village in the middle of nowhere and it's really quiet. But the next place along is Boreham Wood, and that's where actually Elstree Studios is. It's at Boreham Wood. But the reason it's called Elstree Studios is when the first studios were built there, and there's been 5 or 6 totally different studios at Elstree, totally different operations over the years, totally different companies on different sites. And when the first one opened, they opened it in the middle of nowhere, just in the middle of fields around it and that, because they needed space to expand and build sets and things. And the nearest place that was inhabited, the nearest sort of centre of habitation, was this little village called Elstree. But then, around the film studios, it became such an industry that a big town grew up around it, and that is Boreham Wood. So the studios were there before the town. Boreham Wood grew up around the studios. And there's been at least 5 or 6 different studios in Boreham Wood, 2 of which are still operational. One is Elstree Film and Television, which is across one side of Shenny Road, and that's where they did the Indiana Jones films, the Star Wars films, where they did Big Brother, where they did Dancing on Ice, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, where they did at least 1 series, maybe 2 of Not Going Out, the sitcom, and lots of other things as well, including The Holiday. Across the other side of Shenny Road is where they had what was originally an ATV studio. It was a film studio, then it got taken over by ATV Television, that then became Central. But that studio then got sold to the BBC and became BBC Elstree, where they did things like Grange Hill, Casualty, but not Holby City. That's a different one. Yeah, did they do Casualty there, or did they do Holby City there? They did one or the other there. I think they did Casualty there. And famously, they do EastEnders there. And there's now 2 Albert Squares. There's a low-res Albert Square and a high-res Albert Square, because they've built a new Albert Square for the new Super HD. Because the Super HD, you'll be able to see that the old Albert Square set wasn't real houses. So they've had to put more detail into the new square that they've built, but because while they were building the new set, they had to still be filming on the old set for EastEnders. So they had to have them both there at the same time. So they've built it on a slightly different part of the site, and to fit it in, they've turned it round 90 degrees. So now, if you look very carefully at EastEnders, the sun comes up and goes down in a different place. The shadows run a different way on Albert Square to what they used to, because the new set is 90 degrees to what the old one was. Look on Google Maps, you'll see. Google Earth, you'll see. Chris says, "Hi Andy, have you got CNET working again?" No, I haven't, Christopher. I've not had a chance to get round to it, but I will. It is on my list. My list of things to do that's written on the roll of Andrex, because it's the only piece of paper I could find that was long enough. Keith says, "I think the various infrastructures that have developed in the UK over many decades are underappreciated by the wider public." The film studio certainly is. This is what I was getting around to saying. In Boreham Wood, filmmaking and television making is an industry. Just like in this part of the world where I am in Derbyshire, coal mining used to be an industry. Nobody used to go, "Wow, you're a coal miner." And similarly, nobody in Boreham Wood goes, "Wow, you're on the telly." And it's really, really weird, because the thing about Boreham Wood is the most famous person in the world can walk down the street and nobody bats an eyelid in Boreham Wood, because they are so used to it. Harrison Ford used to go across the road from the film studios. There is now a McDonald's. There used to be a pub. When they were making the Raiders movies, and I guess also the Star Wars movies, because of course he was in both, he used to, when they weren't doing anything, which is a lot of the time on a film set, you're not doing anything, he used to just stroll across the road and go and have a pint in the pub that is now a McDonald's. Yeah, he just used to, can't find Harrison Ford, no, he's across the road in the pub. And nobody batted an eyelid. Partly because he wasn't famous then, but yeah, I mean, he's been back since, and nobody bats an eyelid. And yeah, I've seen people like Davina McCall walking down the street and that, outside of the studio compound. Gets off because there's like a big long shopping street, what they call Shenny Road, and studios at this end of it, and the railway stations at this end of it. So you have to walk the length of it between the station to get to the studios. And a lot of people travel by train, and they just walk up Shenny Road, and nobody bats an eyelid. I've never seen one person ever be stopped for an autograph in Boreham Wood. Never seen it happen. Never seen it happen. But yeah, lots and lots of famous people though walking about there. But it's amazingly difficult to spot a famous person out of context. It's really hard. It's really hard when you're not expecting them to be there and they're just out of context, like in a shop or something. Really, really famous people can just like... I mean, there was one night coming back from Big Brother, and I stopped at the local garage to fill up with fuel. I went in the shop to pay, and I was taking one of the girls that appeared on the show with me, a girl called Nadia. I was taking her somewhere. I think where the hell was she going? Oh, I think she was going to a hotel that she'd booked somewhere way up the other end of town. And I said, I'll take you to your hotel, because it was like 2 or 3 mile walk. And I said, I'll take you to your hotel, but I just need to nip in the all-night garage here, and get some petrol for me journey home. She said, yeah, fine. So I filled up with petrol, went in to pay, and I came out, and she said, did you see Richard Madeley in there? I said, what? She said, in front of you in the queue, it was Richard from Richard and Judy. And I'd just not noticed. But back to the telephones. One of those. I was showing you this before. Have we been on since this arrived? Green. I don't think I have. I think I'm talking about these lurid green ones, and then one rocked up. So here it is. It has yellowed a bit actually. This, if you look at it, and Can you see underneath where the handset is? It's a much brighter green than the other bit of it. So it has yellow in it. Now you put a light on so you can see what's going on. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you see. So that has yellowed. That has gone funny. But I'm glad we've got a green one. One of the brighter colours of Viscount. Yeah, other things have arrived as well that aren't here, but yeah, including a couple of these. Whoa! A couple of these have arrived in bits, requiring putting together, so that's quite good because I've not got any of those until now. So, yeah. Fat Hobbit says, I love that frog green phone, Andy. Don't talk to me about frogs, Fat Hobbit. I've got some of those frog phones to do. He's not been on here for a while, but there's a guy called Darren who appears on here as Fungi Phipps. And he came to see me a few months ago. He bought with him some phones for me to mend. He says, can you do anything with these? And some of the things that he brought with him were these frog phones, you know, that look like a frog that flip open. And I've always totally ignored them on car boot sales and things, these frog phones, because they're too modern for me, really. And I thought, you know, a couple of quid maybe for one. And then I looked on eBay. They fetch a fortune, these frog phones. They're like over 100 quid to buy one. And he's got about 3 of them that don't work. So I'm currently working on them. If you're watching, Fungi, do not fear. I am still working on your phones and your flip clock, because you've got a flip clock as well, which is very cool, which I'm trying to get working. So yeah. Fat Hobbit says, if George Clooney served me in my local Sainsbury's, I think I would notice. Yeah, you think you would, but in actual fact, you know, you probably wouldn't. That's the weird thing about it. That my favourite famous moment involved a female singer who I'm not going to name. But she had done a concert in Home Firth of all places, which is not a million miles away from here. The place where they make Last of the Summer Wine, or where they used to make Last of the Summer Wine. And there's a very old venue called the Picture Drome in Home Firth, and she played with a moderately famous singer. She played, well, very famous singer actually, played a concert at the Home Firth Picture Drome as part of a UK tour, because on this particular tour she was playing more intimate venues, not big arenas, intimate venues, and played this Home Firth Picture Drome. And after the gig, Home Firth, there's not a lot happens at night in Home Firth. And after the gig, she wanted something to eat. No, it's not Taylor Swift. It's longer ago than Taylor Swift's tour. It's a good few years ago now, this. But she wanted something to eat, and the only thing that was open in Home Firth was a chip shop and kebab shop. And she came in after the gig, and I was in there after the gig, and quite a few of us that had been at the gig were in there, and she just came to this chip shop, and most people had gone home, because it was about an hour after the gig. Most people had gone home, and me and a few other people that were there sort of with me and that I knew, we'd been standing around chatting, and I don't know if we'd been in a local pub for a pint or something after the gig, and we we decided we went to this chip shop before it closed. I think it closed at about 11 o'clock or something, so we thought we'd better get in this chip shop before it closes. And she came in to this chip shop, and word just gobsmacked. Went, "Oh, hi." She said, "Oh, hi." I said, "Are you wanting something from the chip shop?" She said, "Yeah, sure. I've never been in a chip shop before." And I said, "Oh, okay, fine, yeah, oh, yeah." I said, "I'll tell you what," I said, I'll buy you fish and chips." She said, no. She said, "No." She said, no. She said, "You guys have done enough by coming to see me." I said, no. She said, these fries, you guys call them chips, but they're not chips, they're fries, because chips are potato chips." And so then I had to do the old explaining to an American what chips and fries are. And while this is going on, there's a long queue in this chip shop that's gradually getting towards the counter. And I said, "You go first." So she went in front of me in the queue. And the girl behind the counter has been going to everybody, proper Yorkshire girl behind the counter, has been there going, "Yes, what do you want?" "Fish and chips." "Okay, do you want cotton chips, plates and chips?" "Cotton chips, please." "Do you want peas?" "Yeah, please." Yeah. And "Do you want salt and vinegar on it?" "Oh, no, wrapped." "Next, what do you want?" "Pie and chips." "Pie, what sort of pie do you want?" "Do you want steak and kidney pie, minced beef pie?" "Steak and kidney pie, please." "Do you want salt and vinegar on it?" "Yes, please." "Do you want it open or wrapped?" "Have it open, please." "Do you want a fork in it?" "Next." And then this person, this singer, gets to the front of the queue. "Yeah, what can I do for you?" I'll have fish and chips, please." "Fish and chips. Place or cod?" "Oh, I'll have place, please." "There you go. There's your place. Do you want it open or wrapped?" "I'll have it wrapped, please." She wraps it up. "Would you like a fork with that?" And she's just given her the fork, and she looks up at her as she's given her the fork, and she realises who it is. "Do you want a fork?" "Shit." And it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. Everybody found it funny. Everybody found it funny. Bet the girl in the chip shop will never forget that. What did Pegden say? Was it Katie Tunstall? No, I never met Katie Tunstall. Oh, Keith's gone. Keith's off. Bye, Keith. I've got to go myself too. See you all in a week. Oh, bye, Dominic. Bye. Victor's going for a walk, apparently. Victor the dog. Bye, Victor. But yeah. Yeah. Picture Drome in Elmfirth. If you get a chance to get, I don't even know if it's still there or not, but it's a really old, originally a cinema, hence the name Picture Drome. And it's a very old-fashioned type of cinema with a long, thin building with a balcony in the back, like a mezzanine floor across the back. So you've got two tiers at the back. And when we went, they took all the seats out for this concert, so you could stand and dance. And I remember being at the front of this gig and turning around and looking at the people all jumping up and down on this balcony, and I remember watching the balcony going doing, thinking, I'm glad I'm not underneath that. But yeah, Picture Drome in Holmfirth, it's hilarious. The dressing rooms are in the pub next door. The hotel stroke pub next door is where you have to go to get changed, because there are no dressing rooms in the Picture Drome at Holmfirth. But yeah. Right, so what else has come? yeah, lots of stuff's arrived, but I've just not got it here at the minute. Yeah, lots of random things have arrived. Like strange transformers that I'm sure will be useful for something one day, but it was cheap. Yeah. PU 97206. Blooming heavy. Tell you that. So yeah, all sorts of phone stuff has arrived for Christopher and whoever else was asking. But yeah, and lots of spare parts arrived the other day as well. Including some of these. Ta-da, these. Including one of those as well. Another blank one. A light grey one. And interestingly, also turned up was one of them. A dial blank. You don't see many of these about these days. I wanted one some time ago and I had a devil of a job getting one. I think somebody on here eventually came to my aid with one. I wanted a black one and I couldn't get one anywhere, and I think somebody on here sent me one. So if it was you who sent me one, thank you. But yeah, this is the only other one I've seen. And this is an ivory one. I'm not entirely sure how it attaches. It's only got two things like that on the back. So no idea how that attaches. But yeah, I might use that for something. Don't know what though. Yeah, so that's basically the things that have arrived recently. So, another one of these came as well, in a box of bits. I got another one of these. You can never have too many of these crimpy things. Christopher says, I've been also working on my GPO 162 phone. Sorry, my eyesight's going. Cool. Very good. I must say, thank you to Arthur for sending these. He sent me a load of these little pots. But look, Durham Foods peas pudding. And he sent me a big stack of them, complete with the lids. And I thought, why has Arthur sent me these? And then I realised that, you know, you've got a dial for a phone, like a dial 21 or something. They fit perfectly into one of these, and then you can put the lid on and stack them up without getting all your dial contacts bent because you've just got them all loose in a box or something. So thanks Arthur for those. They have proved to be very, very useful for putting telephone dials in. We find a use for everything. Oh, we've got another one of these as well. Another one of these. It was cheap. Can you see why it was cheap? Yes. It's got the Invisible Man's handset on it, hasn't it? Yeah, so I think I've got about 3 of these now. I think one of them kind of works, but still missing a few bits. Every one I've got seems to be missing some bits. These are unbelievably heavy because they're all metal. The case and everything is metal on them. Unbelievably heavy. They are. So, yeah. I quite like those. I do quite like those. So, yeah. So that's just some of the things that have arrived recently. Right, and that I think will probably be about a wrap for today. I do hope you've enjoyed the first of this new run of Andy's Shed Live. We are now back, let's say, most Sundays. Now around about 7 o'clock. When it gets more towards winter, we will probably switch back to 6 o'clock again. But for now we are on, or 6:30 maybe. But for now we are on at 7 o'clock ish each week ish. And remember, if you've enjoyed what you've seen here, you can join us on Patreon by my clicky thing doesn't click so well at the minute. I have to hit it 2 or 3 times. Join us on Patreon if you enjoyed what you've seen here. It's at www.patreon.com/Andy Shed. Somebody, going back to Elstree, somebody was asking for an Escape the Shed from Elstree. Was it last time we were on? Somebody was asking us about doing an Escape the Shed from Elstree. I filmed one years ago, but it wasn't very good because it was a windy day and the audio didn't come out very well on it. There's lots of in the audio. So yeah, I would like to go and do one from Elstree. Unfortunately, you can't get into the studio. The studio's like super secure, particularly these days, you know, and that. But yeah, the studio's not so good now because there's no people in the house there now. They've knocked it down. You know, that was the thing that was recognisable, that you could see from the road and that, and it's gone. But yeah, we will do one from Boreham Wood, and one of these days we will do one from Boreham Wood. We are also going to have another visit very soon when I set it up with him, down to see the other Andrew in Wales. You may remember we went down just over a year ago to see him, and that we are going to do it again, probably in about a month or so. So we'll be going to see him in his amazing collection of telephones once again. But that about wraps it up for tonight. Why does my mouse not click when it should? There you go. Christopher, next week I'll be working on my Western Electric handset. Pull out abandoned hayset carriages. Excellent. Yeah. Well, we'll get your pictures on next week, Christopher. I'll get your pictures out of your email so we can show them to people next week. Daniel Pastor is here. It says, I'm watching from Africa, Kenya. Hello, Daniel. Hello in Africa. What time is it there? Christopher's in Australia. I thought he was mad watching in Australia. What time is he in Africa? We've got no idea what time zone Africa's in. No idea at all. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the show, Daniel. And yeah, come and see us again next week. We are on 7 o'clock UK time most weeks. So come and see us again next week. Drop in and say hi again. And nice to see you watching us on Facebook there as well, Daniel. Right, that is it from me for now. Have a fantastic week ahead, everybody, whatever you are doing out there. And yeah, remember, if you're in the UK and BBC tonight, I'm not sure what time it's on. Somebody asked earlier, I don't know if anybody replied to it, but apparently The Shining is on. Shall I have a look what time it's on? Let me see if I can have a look what time it's on before I go, just so as you know. Right, let's have a look. It's on today at 10 o'clock on BBC One, apparently. If my internet's not lying to me. So 10 o'clock tonight on BBC One, so you've got about an hour and a half before it starts. The Shining, starring the late Shelley Duvall and the deliciously mad Jack Nicholson. Yeah, watch out for the guy with the knife through his head with all the blood pouring down his face, because when the studios burnt down and the fire brigade arrived, they tried to put that poor chap in an ambulance because they thought he was really hurt, because he'd got all the Kensington gore running down his face. Watch out for him in The Shining, and also watch out for all that asbestos snow. We will see you around about 7 o'clock next week, but from me for now, have a fantastic week ahead, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.